It's the 7th round of the women's tournament of the Coca-Cola Classic, and Steve Mackey, this could well be the match of the series so far.
Well, I think it will be. Jo Ellen Day's come off those two fantastic wins. I mean, fancy getting up in the 10th frame twice. Of course, she's got the hardest nut in the tournament to crack today in Jeanette Baker-Flynn. It will be the match of the women's round.
Are you prepared to pick a winner?
No, I'm not, because every time I've said something here, it's gone against me. I think it'll be a tight game. I don't think there'll be more than a dozen pins in it at the end. And I think it's going to be a game of spares and strikes and very few open frames.
Jo Ellen Day is 21 years of age. She's a bank teller from the Queensland Gold Coast. She has a highest game of 275 and finished second in 1986 in the South Pacific Classic. She's been a junior member of the Queensland team for 5 years, represented Australia in the youth team for 3 years and the senior team for 1 year, and in 1986 was a member of the Queensland state team. Jeanette Baker-Flynn is from Victoria with a highest game of 290. The winner of the Australian Masters in 1981, 82, 85 and 86, and in 1986 was inducted into the Hall of Fame. She was the winner of the Bowling World Cup in 1982 and 83, the only person, male or female, ever to win the title back-to-back. So Jeanette Baker-Flynn, perhaps the favourite for this tournament, even though she was seeded only third after the qualifying rounds. Jeanette Baker-Flynn to bowl first on lane 11. Looks good to start with, and it certainly is. And that's exactly the start that Jeanette Baker-Flynn was looking for.
That's right, absolution on the first shot. Well done, Jeanette Baker-Flynn. And now it's Jo Ellen Day's turn, and she's bowling 2 frames to open up the match. Looks a good opening, yes.
Well, she's throwing down the gauntlet to Jeanette Baker-Flynn, saying virtually whatever you can do, I can match. And that's a great start for the young Queensland lass.
Yes, in fact, whatever you can do, I can do better, because Jo Ellen Day hit the 1-3 pocket, the strike pocket, for right-handed bowlers, as opposed to Jeanette's strike, which was a Brooklyn hit. Well, Jeanette Baker-Flynn not looking at any of this. She's got a match play ploy where she keeps her head bowed while the opponent's bowling.
And that leaves Jo Ellen Day with a very, very difficult split to pick up a spare.
Yes, a nasty one. The 4, 6 and the 7 pins, and she'd be well advised to go for the 2 here. Let's have a look what happened. The ball went right through the nose, and in fact she was lucky to break up the big 4 split that time. That's good thinking.
Takes out the 2, get as many pins as she can, but an open frame. So the chance for Jeanette Baker-Flynn from Victoria to go to an early lead, with Jo Ellen Day just leaving that door slightly open for her.
Well, she may well capitalise on this. She usually does. That's a very good result by Jeanette. And we'll have a look now at the style. Very purposeful push away, straight back swing, excellent follow through, good extension, parallel to the line with her shoulders, the foul line, and she's saying thank you. That was a good result. There are many bowlers who would hit the head pin in the position she did and only get 5 or 6 pins over, but that very strong working ball giving her a 9 count.
So this to pick up her spare in the second frame. And does so very easily.
Well, if she gets a strike in the third frame, she'll be 12 pins ahead, and as I said, I think at the end of the game there'll only be a dozen or so pins in this. We've seen Jo Ellen Day twice come through in the 10th frame with strikes to win matches when she was seemingly gone. We'll see what happens this time. You notice the big, deep breath then by Jeanette, trying to get those nerves under control. That's out well on the lane.
Well, some of the crowd saying bad luck. Perhaps it was a little bit of good luck, because she could have been left with a very difficult spare, and that last pin just not fallen.
Yes, she could have. That was perhaps a bit fortunate, and that ball of hers really turning very much as it nears the pins. The back 20 to 25 feet of the lanes here at Logan City are bone dry, and that's where the ball will take off, and of course it'll take off more with the more lift you give it out on the lane, and that's precisely what Jeanette Baker-Flynn's doing there. She's really giving it a decent old hoik out onto the lane there. Way to cover the spares, though, just like we saw then, right in the middle of the two pins. No chance of a chop.
Jo Ellen Day trailing by 10 pins at the end of the second frame.
Good result again. And Jo Ellen at 21 years of age. She's been around for a while. She's had lots of experience in overseas teams, and of course second in this year's South Pacific Classic to Sue Rafael was no mean feat. The find of the tournament. She received an encouragement award for that, and well deserved. Of
this match, we'll go on in the next round to meet Mary Flower, the winner of that game, to play Barbara Richmond in the final. And, of course, for the winner of the Coca-Cola Classic, it's $1,000 to the winner, plus a great trip to America with Qantas next year to compete in that high roller tournament in Las Vegas with $1 million in prize money. Good comeback by Jo Ellen Day. She needed that.
And she got it. What a beautiful strike. Excellent timing that this young lady's found for herself, with the aid of her coach, Barbara Richmond. But we're back with Jeanette Baker-Flynn now, who I would venture to say is in a world of her own.
Well, Jo Ellen Day had let Jeanette Baker-Flynn into the match early on with that open frame in the second. Now the pressure right back on Jeanette Baker-Flynn. Because Jo Ellen Day would be sensing that this is her opportunity to get well and truly back into this match.
Yes, Jeanette grimacing then as she knew she'd overturned the ball when she pushed it away. Going for two, and got those. Well, she's going to be a little bit behind now, 62 in the fourth frame, and she's going to have to do some heavy thinking. That's twice in a row she's come up high on the nose of the front pin, the number one pin.
At the completion of the third frame, Jeanette Baker-Flynn had led by 54 to 48. Of course, that open frame in the fourth could prove disastrous for her. On lane 11.
That looks good. Boy, you could feel that one up in the commentary position. That was a strike from the time she picked the ball up off the rack. That would have knocked over 20 pins. Oh, much more purpose in that shot.
Well, Jo Ellen Day comes back with a strike as well.
Yes, that's put the pressure right on Jeanette now. It could be as many as 16 pins behind with the double working by Jo Ellen Day. And look at the great pin action here, producing a double at the right psychological moment too. In the middle of the game, this is where she's come good each match we've seen her. Let's see if she can put a head on this one.
She should be getting used to pressure because she's been under some intense pressure in the last few games. But full credit to her, she's been able to fight her way through.
That looks pretty good too. Excellent. 16 pins ahead and 3 strikes in a row working for her. And that ball not turning as much as it gets near the pins, but very direct line to the pocket.
78 plays 62 in favour of Jo Ellen Day.
And Jeanette in trouble on lane 12. The ball not quite coming up. Look at that. It's trying to make it up to the head pin. Another 2 feet longer on that lane, and she would have made it, I think, but not to be. So she hasn't fared well on lane 12. She's had the 2 pin, now the 2-8, and of course in the middle of that all, the big 4 split.
But Jeanette Baker-Flynn, just too good a bowler to say that she's out of it at this stage, but certainly the young Queensland lass would be growing in confidence as Jeanette Baker-Flynn picks up the spare, which she just had to do.
Yes, and that's not an easy spare either. There's 22 inches separating those 2 pins. It's called the sleeper spare because that pin behind is directly behind the front pin, and you can't see it when you're standing front on. But she got it. She's about 26 pins behind, top of the 7th. Looks good. That's the way to come back. But she's going to have to start a string of those now. In fact, she has room for a 222 game, and she'll need just about every one of those the way Jo Ellen Day is going. That's a bad count, John. 6 after a strike, not good. The ball was trying to make it up to the strike pocket, but didn't have quite enough direction on it.
So at the completion of the 5th frame, the lead was 22 pins to Jo Ellen Day. 104 to 82 at the end of the 5th. Jo Ellen Day at the bottom of the 7th. Did well to pick up that spare.
Looks all right. Oh, excellent shot. What a pressure bowler this girl is. 21 years of age. A champion in the making, Jo Ellen Day. And a champion for many years now, Jeanette Baker-Flynn, hoping to add a strike to the one she's just had.
Jeanette Baker-Flynn at the top of the 8th, needing a strike here. She's trailing at the moment, and it's not going to be, but she'll be able to pick up the spare, but she really wanted a strike there.
Well, that was a good adjustment by Jeanette. Let's have a look at the pin action here. Everything jumping around the 9 pin. 2 pins could have hit it, but neither of them did. They rocked it. And she's faced with this nuisance 9 pin to go for. And Brendan Flynn, now Jeanette's husband, wondering if his wife can get out of this one. She's in trouble.
Well known, of course, in his own right as one of our top basketball coaches and commentators.
Well, Jeanette was listening to some music tapes prior to the match starting. And the spectators speculating on the fortunes of Jeanette Baker-Flynn in these next 2 frames. She's cut her potential score now to 202, and Jo Ellen Day is bowling at a 204 pace, so she is in trouble. Needs one here. Not good.
Will it fall? It rocks and stays up.
Well, Jeanette's not a happy person at the moment. She bowled a lot better than this prior to the match starting. And that push away just a little bit wishy-washy. It seems to be a little bit wavering. Maybe that's a problem for her.
Well, that certainly was a little bit of bad luck. That pin could have easily been knocked over. But now she'll pick up the spare and does so.
Jeanette looking for some consolation from Brendan. And Jo Ellen Day now. She can tie it up here with a strike. Not good. Oh, boy. Well, that's a break. That was a break and a half. A nose-hit strike and a slight glimpse of a smile on the face of Joe Ellen Day. Oh, boy, look at that one. The stuff dreams are made of, that strike. Nightmares for Baker Flynn, but dreams for Joe Ellen Day. Right on the head pin. Done it again.
Good again, no mistake. So she gets better as the tournament goes along, Joe Ellen Day. She had a fairly shaky start. Perhaps a little bit lucky to have survived her early rounds, but she did so. And she's certainly now starting to show her best form.
It's an unbelievable performance by this youngster, 21 years of age, to be able to produce strikes 3 times, the first ball in the 10th when she needed them. It was a tremendous effort. Full marks to her. She might do it again, too.
Does she ever?
Well, that's a big game. She's in the 230s. And easily the highest game we've had in the women's division by far. Beating Leanne Moyles 203 in one of the earlier rounds. What a performance this one is. 8 strikes so far, and Jeanette Baker Flynn thinking about the 190 odd that she's likely to bowl against this brilliant game of 233 by Joe Ellen Day of the Gold Coast.
Great performance by a 21-year-old Queenslander. 233 with the game won.
And with the pressure off, Jeanette Baker Flynn finding the way in on lane 12. Most unfortunate. She, of course, was a little unfortunate to leave the 9-pin the last time she visited this lane. That would have given her a chance, and the 9-pin again almost standing on that replay. Well, it'll be a 180-odd game. Well below her average in the qualifying tournament here in Logan City. And, of course, Jeanette's big 6-game Australian record recently in the Orange Grand Prix tournament, where she averaged 235 for 6 games. But today's another day. And, of course, in a 1-game match, anything can happen. And in this case, it did. 181 to be beaten by the 233 of Joe Ellen Day in our match prior to the semi-finals of the women's division. Joe Ellen Day goes on to meet Mary Flower in our next women's encounter.
Fine performance by Joe Ellen Day, a win by 52 pins, 233 to 181. Close in the Ladies Classic to Jeanette Baker Flynn. Jeanette, you check for $300. Probably the favourite for the tournament, but your opponent just too good.
Well, I think I take it as a compliment that Joe Ellen bowled such a high score against me. And the fact is, she was running hot. The shot was there for her. It wasn't necessarily there for me. So all congratulations go to local.
Thanks, Jeanette, and thanks for being with us. And Joe Ellen Day, you just keep going from strength to strength. Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Tell us about going into that game. You would have felt the pressure on you, knowing the form of your opponent. Did that make you try all the harder?
Oh yes, Jeanette's obviously the number one player, and with 1 game, it's anybody's game, so it's just the luck.
It was a fine performance, certainly your best of the tournament so far.
Yes, it was.
Now all you have to do is make sure that you keep on producing that form.
Hope so.
All right, we'll see you in the next round, and that's going to be a good round against Mary Flower.
Thank you.
Joe Ellen Day. In fact, our next televised tournament will be round 11 of the Men's Classic here from Logan City Loans.